Good day, class. Today, we are going to study a very important biological process called cellular respiration. What is cellular respiration? Cellular respiration is the process by which cells break down glucose in the presence of oxygen to produce ATP, the energy currency of life. Without this process, cells wouldn't have the energy to perform essential functions like movement, growth, and repair. There, there are three processes involved in cellular respiration: glycolysis, Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle, or electron transport chain. Now, the overall cellular respiration equation is C6H12O6 plus 6O2 will yield to a 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 water plus ATP. Now, this means one molecule of glucose plus 6 molecules of oxygen can produce 6 carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water and around 32 to 36 ATP. So how does this happen? Let's find it out. So these are the stages or processes in cellular respiration. So it starts with glycolysis in the cytoplasm. One glucose molecule is split into two molecules of pyruvate. This process generates a small amount of energy, 2 ATP and 2 NADH. The great thing about glycolysis is that it doesn't require oxygen. It is an anaerobic process. So, this is also the reason why after you eat, you feel sleepy. Because in the process of glycolysis, you will be investing energy for the glucose to be processed. And for a while, after a while, at the halving stage of glycolysis, it will create 2 ATP. Now, this pyruvate will enter mitochondria. Remember, mitochondria synthesize ATP. So how does it synthesize ATP? This is the reason why. The pyruvate molecules will be converted into acetyl-CoA, which in the process of this Krebs cycle will generate NADH and carbon dioxide. And sometimes this pyruvate oxidation is called link reaction because it connects glycolysis to the next cycle, which is the Krebs cycle. Krebs cycle is also called citric acid cycle. So each acetyl-CoA will be broken down into two molecules of carbon dioxide. Along the way, the cycle, it will produce 6 NADH and 2 molecules of FADH2. This is very important because NADH and FADH2 are high energy electron carrier, which is very important in the electron transport chain. Now, this Krebs cycle happens in the matrix of the mitochondria. Now, the produced ATPs, NADH, and FADH now will enter to the inner mitochondrial membrane. This is where electron transport chain is located. Now, as it enters, NADH and FADH2 will release their high energy electrons. This will move down the chain and will power the proton pumps. These are the proton that will move the proton ions to the intermembrane space. This creates a proton gradient. Remember osmosis, right? From high to low concentration, that's the movement of water. Now, here we're looking at the movement of hydrogen ions or proton ions. These protons will need to flow back and enter again in the matrix. How? So remember, high to low concentration gradient. Now, if we have high concentration of hydrogen ions in the intermembrane space of the mitochondria, this will trigger ATP synthase to create an ATP. So it will be requiring two hydrogen ions. Then, the ADP that is attached to the ATP synthase will now be connected to inorganic phosphate and will be creating the ATP. So this process is also called chemiosmosis. You know, right? Osmosis, the high to low concentration gradient. And this process creates 32 to 34 ATP. Now, at the end, oxygen acts as a final electron acceptor. So here's the electron moving out of the last hydrogen pump. The electron will bind to oxygen and hydrogen will also bind to the oxygen, creating water. Without oxygen, the entire chain would stop. This is why oxygen is essential for aerobic respiration. Why? This is to control the number of hydrogen in the matrix. So to synthesize the process, glycolysis creates 2 ATP. The Krebs cycle creates 2 ATP. And the electron transport chain will create 32 to 34 ATP, which turns out that one glucose will yield and create 36 to 38 ATP. However, 38 ATP is a theoretical yield. Why? Because it is the theoretical or the number that is produced in the series of chemical reaction. Now, this doesn't happen in real life because ATP is reused and used from the other parts of the metabolic processes. So we cannot get the exact number of 38 ATPs. Now, in real life, one glucose will give you 32 to 36 ATP.